In cultural news, let's get into your man's. The boy Kanye has been.
Yay.
Oh, yeah,
Remember
my
how
bad,
he
my
said
bad.
it?
No,
He
you're right,
said
you're right, you're right. It's gonna be a tough thing
it is.
to transition, but at least because that's a terrible call, by the way. We're watching the Yankees game, but
It's because I want to respect his decision,
no, I'm respecting his decision
but
for
it's
sure.
so hard because it's like you said, that's what we've known him for our whole lives.
Yeah, it's just programmed. Because the difference is when people were doing that to Muhammad Ali, they were doing it specifically on purpose to make him mad, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So I'm just gonna have to unlearn that. Because the one thing is people pick their pronouns and stuff like that. I'm gonna be careful.
He, she, they, them.
I'm gonna be careful with this. I have my own opinions on that, but when it comes to somebody's actual name, if they change their name, then I'm gonna respect their name. Like I don't call Caitlyn Bruce.
Yeah.
Like
Caitlyn Jenner. And
right.
I've gotten used to saying Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
Too.
So for me, I'm gonna respect his name. If people want to intentionally disrespect somebody,
I'm going to try. If I say Kanye, it's not on purpose.
yeah. So Ye has been in the news recently for a lot of things, a lot of takes.
But like, what has it been like a week and a half now, 2 weeks? Like since when was Paris Fashion Week? That's when everything kind of started.
It's been a while. We've been kind of delayed on reporting
Yeah.
some of these things, but
Paris Fashion Week though is kind of where everything really, because he walked for Balenciaga. He opened.
mm-hmm.
Nobody was clowning him. They were just judging Balenciaga. 'Cause a lot of people, I think, did we talk about that?
We did.
Yeah, we talked about the Balenciaga thing and how people were just clowning it. So they weren't clowning him. Like he was still on people's good side at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next day, his show is when everything went downhill.
Yep. He had several models as well as himself wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. Had White Lives Matter applied to the back of it. Obviously caused outrage, which was of course the intent from him, and the purpose for that was raising awareness for how this has always been the case too, right? So anybody listening, you're gonna get my actual unfiltered opinion, which I rarely give up here on the podcast because, this is when you put things on the internet, it's forever. So I do care about what I say. This episode, not so much. So Black Lives Matter was a scam. Always was a scam. You were never gonna see me put BLM in my Instagram, in my Twitter. You weren't gonna see me with a T-shirt, all that stuff.
And people were posting links too, like donate.
Not because
Like this one girl who went to my high school, like she literally was like talking like on her Twitter, like being rude about like you guys aren't donating. I'm like, donating to
right,
what?
Exactly. So for me, I always thought it was a scam. Obviously, the sentiment itself makes sense. Black Lives Matter.
The statement, yeah.
The statement makes sense. But in terms of
the original, the original point and the purpose behind the movement made sense.
Right, and that's why, I wasn't against it. But the organization itself and people asking for donations and all that kind of stuff is immediately a scam, right? Because what are you donating to? Like, are you sending money to the cops to be like, please don't kill us?
Yeah, like the whole point of the movement. The whole point of the movement is saying that our lives matter also. Like
right.
We're emphasizing the fact that a lot of us are, it seems like we're disproportionately killed by police, and we're making an emphasis that like, do our lives not matter? Like, everybody's lives matter, of course, but they're just making an emphasis on our lives because it seems like they don't matter.
Right.
So what does money? How's money going to solve any of that?
I never understood that personally.
And everybody's like, why aren't you donating? You're on Twitter, but you're not donating. I see you guys on the timeline, but you're not donating. I'm like, donating to what? Like, you have this fake activism. Like, what are you actually doing to stop the killing? Besides trying to demean people on Twitter because they're not donating. To what? And now look what happened. Because none of us, people who see through it, knew it was stupid. We saw there was like money was going to like Project Blue, which is like a Democratic organization. That was red flag number one for me. And number two, I'm like, donating to protect our lives.
Right. Because
how'd that work?
This isn't a political statement. Saying Black Lives Matter wasn't supposed to be a political statement.
Yeah, it was like a humane statement.
So political parties being involved in it knew it was a scam from the rip, right? It's kind of like low-key common sense, but, people
common sense is not common.
There's a lot of emotions into it, so I might give some people some leeway in that regard. But in general, it was stupid, right? Mm-hmm. Like, people don't ever know where their money's going. So that's why when they're like at CVS, oh, do you want to round up your donation? It's like, no, I don't. Because the reason why is when you say yes, you're giving the money to CVS for them to donate so that they can then write off the money as a tax,
charitable contribution.
right? Charitable contributions, as opposed to yourself donating it, and you get the benefit of the charitable contributions.
Yeah. And how do you know for sure that's where your money is going?
You'll never know, because they could just. I mean, I'm not saying that they would do this because they're a very large company, and if that ever
And
came
you'll be
out,
audited.
if that ever came out, that would be crazy. But in general, they get to write off, like Amazon. People be like, "Oh yeah, round up my purchase 50 cents," and Amazon's able to total $100 million. They donate that $100 million. They get $100 million write off from the government.
Yep, they don't gotta pay taxes.
They don't have to pay taxes on things. So just
You guys gotta learn things.
common business sense, right? Black Lives Matter was a scam, and that's what he was attempting to bring to light. Although I think a lot of us kind of like knew that once we saw in the news that people were buying $6 million homes.
And the thing is, like, if someone mentioned this, 'cause, you know, I always gotta bring it back. So being Black American, they said that it feels like the people that only said something were like Black Americans, or like, you know, people who were like, you know, FBA. Like, I haven't seen a lot of other people speak out. Like when I first heard about them scamming, like it was like me and a handful of people that spoke out. Like everybody else who was talking about donations, I didn't see them say a peep.
Right. Because people don't want to seem stupid.
Yeah. Same way with, you know, I don't want to talk about the vaccine.
Oh, no.
The vaccine, you know, going pushing hard for it, calling themselves Pfizer princesses, and that shit didn't work. And people were, I'm not clear.
Yeah, they take you off the internet, so we can't even say anything anymore. But
or
anyway.
like what we were just saying, the Forex thing. Yeah, like people don't want to have egg on their face because they like you look stupid.
Right.
So that's why they quiet. But people did call it out, but not everybody did. Like the same way that everybody's mad about him wearing a shirt, that outrage wasn't as heavy as them scamming at all. At all.
Because people. So that was the point of the of wearing a shirt. Now,
one of the points, I think.
One of the points.
Because on his Drink Champs interview, he tried to make it. Yeah, it seemed like it goes deeper, like almost like he was hurt by nobody speaking out against what he was going through. So he was almost saying like, "Well, I'm not gonna be that voice anymore." Then, yeah, that's what he was kind of saying too on the Drink Champs thing.
Now, God, there's so many opinions, and I really don't want this podcast to be like 3 hours of the Kanye breakdown, but that was part of his point, was pointing out that like the BLM, it was all a scam, and it is a political agenda pushed by Democrats, and that's not a hot take, everybody.
It's not.
That's a fact.
It's so obvious that they care about the black vote, both sides. Like he said that too. I think he said that on Tucker Carlson, that he said like, if you could tell like black people like on both sides are just, it's just like a feeling, you know, what would you call it? Like what do you call it when you have like the black vote? It's like you have what's the word?
I don't know.
It's like in political words, like when you have like that fulfillment of like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like he said down to Carlson, like, you know, the Democrats see us as that, like, that's the word I'm thinking of. The word I'm thinking of is approval, like the approval rating. Mm-hmm. So it's like he said on Drink Champs, when they threw Kamala in there, it's like they said the black female vote went up like crazy, like the approval rating. Mm-hmm. When Obama ran, obviously the approval rating went up like crazy, you know. Mm-hmm. When Kanye's claims that when he went to the White House, Trump's approval rating went up for the black vote, which I could believe that. I'm not gonna say I have all of his black fans that a huge percentage didn't follow along with him, so they just see us as like pawns. They don't even see us as people. I think they just see us as ratings.
Right.
And the fact that people don't see that so clearly, that the Democrats always hijacked our movements and things like that just to appeal to us, like the way they try to hijack reparations, like they really gonna give us reparations. They ain't gonna give us reparations.
Right. Now, all of that's a fact, and this is not conspiracy or hot take. This is a fact. You can go see where who's been donating to a political party. You can see all the involvement, right? So that's not a hot take. Everybody wants to throw out the word conspiracy theory. It's not. Mm-hmm. This isn't a conspiracy, and that's not like a hot take. Like mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton isn't going on the Breakfast Club for no reason, mm-hmm. right? Like,
yeah.
So that should be pretty obvious, and that's what they think of us, right? Like they want to go to our music outlets because they're like, oh, they listen to rap music, so let me put myself here on a platform where they listen to rap music and then hopefully get their vote, right? Like they want to chase after where we consume entertainment. Yeah. So that should let people know as well that when you have rappers that are doing campaigning, right, for political parties like the Democrats, that's why they're going after people that would be prominent in our community, like a Meg Thee Stallion, or like you showed me the other day with Santana and who else was it? Trina. Like they go after these people to push these political agendas, whether it's the I don't know how to censor it.
What? the jab.
Yeah, or just anything in general.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that was the point, is to highlight these sort of things and political agendas that are placed upon our community, and whether people want to believe that or not, that's a fact. Like, that's the point of being in politics, is for
And it's
power.
just so funny to me like how like people swear they're so independent thinkers and like they get like they're so gullible and get pulled into this stuff every single time. And that's why I'm glad like I realized that young, like growing up, I just automatically assumed, we were how old were we when Obama got into office? Did they not catch that?
We were 12.
Damn. Yeah, so that was like 2008. Oh, he had a home run. Sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, that was 2008. So like we grew up like I don't know if you remember like in school when they used to actually do like who you vote for. And then when you said like I remember like my first very memory of that was when I lived in New York and it was Bush I think versus
Kerry, probably.
Kerry. Yeah, that was like 2004.
Yeah,
And I remember that like that's like my first memory of an election.
they had you drawing
Yeah.
elephants and donkeys.
And we had to pick like and I was like oh Kerry like Democrat because like, we it was kind of like embedded in our mind. And then you have Obama right after that, Democrat. So that's like our prime, like childhood, teen lives was like being Democratic because of Obama, right? And then it's like that whole mindset that blacks are Democrats and all that. So that's why, like, when I became 18, Obama was still in office when we turned 18. I think, didn't we just turn 18 when we voted for Trump? No, we were like 19, 20. That was like 2016.
Yeah.
We turned 18 in 2014. So when I applied, I said I was Democratic. Like when you say like what's your political party, I just put Democrat because
Years
I
of
felt like
training.
I had to, yeah. But now that I became older and I'm like having my mind of my own, I literally changed that to be, not Republican. Well, I changed that to unaffiliated. I'm like, I'm not affiliated with either. Like, why do I gotta pick? Whoever I decide to vote for, I'm gonna vote for. If I even want to vote, like people say, oh, you should vote. It's your power. Like, no, if I don't want to vote for the person, why do I gotta vote, right? But
to get back to Kanye, he basically wore the shirts or created the shirts to spark a conversation. Now, I disagree with the way that he did it because, to me, in my opinion, I think that if Kanye is who he thinks he is or says he is, that he should feel that his voice is powerful enough to make a statement and people are going to move in the way that he says versus making a t-shirt and trying to generate the outrage, because a lot of people aren't going to do what we're doing here, have an intelligent conversation. They're going to see a post on the Shade Room or something else, and they're going to determine their whole opinions based off of whatever.
of a 30-second clip on the
Of a 30-second clip, which is not even, the Shade Room's not owned by a black person. So whatever clip that people are seeing, that's how they're going to determine their opinions, and not everybody in the country is going to be, have some level of intelligence and either try to understand what he's saying or be able to have any sort of discernment into like actually understanding what the purpose is, right?
Because you have like two types of people. You have people who are just ignorant because that's just who they are. That's how they were raised. They're just dumb. No offense. And then you have people who just want to be mad.
Right.
Want to be outraged.
Now, my opinion is that he shouldn't, he makes clothes and music and art. He's an artist, right? So in my opinion, the art takes away from the message itself. And that's why I disagree with the way that he did it, because in my opinion, you leave less to interpretation when you say something versus wearing a t-shirt with a phrase on it. So to me, I think that his voice is powerful enough. If he says certain things, people are going to follow it, whether people want to believe that or not, because everybody said the Yeezy slides were prison shoes, and now you see everyone wearing them, and
Buying them off
people are
BHK.
buying fakes of them, right? So I think that if he says something or he puts something out, it's just as effective as if he does some sort of outrage marketing. So in my opinion, he went about doing it wrong, but the sentiment in itself, I don't disagree with.
And that's what they said on Drink Champs. They said the guy in the front of the shirt was the Pope.
Right.
Remember you was asking about that?
Mm-hmm.
And like that Pope was like, it was I don't really know the background, but they were saying like he like came out like and was like condemning the church or whatever. Like he was, So it was like, oh, like you see something like that, it's like, so wait, there must be something else like to this,
Yeah, and there
But
always
most people don't know who that Pope is because look, I didn't even know.
and there always is. I never thought Kanye was against the black community. I just disagree.
I hate that sentiment that he's anti-black.
I just disagree with the way that he goes about trying to show the world that he's for us, because it gets lost in translation for people that either don't want to understand it.
And that's why you have people like Boozy and Meek Mill, who, no offense, hood rats who just happen to become famous speaking out, and now you have all the their followers like, yeah, Boozy, yeah, he's right. Like Boozy is so illiterate. Like that. Like, sorry, no offense, but like that man don't seem like he's too bright. So I don't think we should be taking
That's the other
his
thing,
surface level, like interpretation of the situation.
Right. And now that specifically is where I will make my comments on the celebrity responses to Kanye's. Now, let me say this before I get into any of that. I don't agree. To be specific, I don't agree with the manner, the way he did it, but I do agree with some of the sentiments that he had in his message. When it comes to the celebrity reactions to it, right? When it comes to Boozy and Meek Mill, for example, I don't listen to Boozy's music, so I don't really particularly care for him. But when it comes to Meek Mill, I do listen and enjoy Meek Mill's music. Now, for me, you can't make a song about you can't have Boozy saying that he'll give a woman $1,000 for putting her vagina on live, right? And that's not the person that. No, hold up. Let me finish.
No, I'm saying and have grown woman touching his underage son.
Right. So
on live.
So that's the person. That's not the person that I'm gonna go read or in my mind where I'm gonna try to connect with them, right? Yeah. Like nothing you say to me has any validity. So you can do all that tweeting shit all you want, right? And have your opinion, but you're not the person that I would look to for like my opinion or try to get any sort of knowledge from. You're not teaching me anything, right? It's because you have this stance on this take, but everything else that you do about your life, whether it be like the content you put in your music, which is fine. I enjoy that music too. I enjoy I'm gonna go spin a block 100 times just like everybody else. But when we're talking about like the black community, you're still a detriment to us, whether we like it or not. I just happen to like the music. I like the beats. I like the lyrics. So I'm not above anybody. I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
But Meek Mill can't say I got my shooters out here with 100 rounds spinning on the block and then also at the same time pretend to care about the black community because
just like Block J Boy, whatever. I don't know what his name
Block Boy
is.
JB, right? Like
irrelevant. Like talking about first of all, he came and speak, so that's why I stopped when he said Kanye he wore the White Lives Matter shirt. I'm like, first of all, like just that first sentence alone will make you realize, is this somebody you want to get an opinion from?
Right.
From something that you need to think deeper about? Like, no. And as rappers who make very dangerous music for our community, you want to take their opinion about caring about their people. You don't care about your people. You're promoting drugs and violence.
Right. So to me, again, I enjoy that music. I enjoy the beats and whatever. Yeah. But
because we enjoy it and don't take it to heart. It's not like we enjoy it and go perpetuate it. But there's people out there who enjoy it and then go perpetuate it.
Right. So it's dangerous. Like
there's people who make the music who perpetuate it or who perpetuated it in the past.
Right. And I'm not one of those people, which is why I can enjoy it and not care.
Yeah.
Because if everybody just looked at it as entertainment and that's all it was, then it wouldn't really matter what they were rapping about. People could be rapping about anything in the world and make money and whatever. But if nobody took it serious, then that's fine. But people listen to that and then go out and do it, and that's the problem. But I'm not one of those people. So when people have a moral compass all of a sudden, I disagree with that. And that's part of the reason why Kanye wore the White Lives Matter shirt is because to prove a point is like you still don't care about black lives. Like don't pretend to care about it just because I wore this shirt. Yeah. But at the same time, you're on the internet degrading and demoralizing your black women in the community. And like they might be in financial hardship, but now you want to offer them money to expose themselves on the internet.
Which is the internet's forever. The internet's forever. Yeah, you could say those women are ignorant and stupid for doing that. Yeah, but you're creating a platform for them to do that.
Right. So
it's so hypocritical. Like I said, that's why that's a really good point that you're making. Like this, like a part of this was to prove a point. Like look at all these people who now all of a sudden care about Black lives. Just wasn't doing nothing else for it.
Right.
With their power, with their voice, not doing anything.
Exactly. So
except making it worse by making music that's literally to our detriment.
Right. So what he was trying to get off, and I'm not one of those people where it's like, oh, if Kanye released a blank album, I would pretend to hear the music. I'm not a Kanye supporter like that anymore. Seriously. I only care about these musicians and artists because of the music. I like listening to creativity and what they're able to produce. I don't care about any celebrity as a person. I swear to God, I don't.
And that's something I think we got to highlight with this too. Is I feel like too many people are taking things like what Kanye says, like they put him on too much of a pedestal. Like at the end of the day, we're all human, and like people are like all these Kanye fans are like so depressed, like oh my God, why I can't do this no more. Like, relax.
Do
Like,
what?
no one, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to defend him. No one, it's not a requirement to be a fan of his music. Like, you can still love his music and love him without agreeing with everything he says out of his mouth. Like, you shouldn't agree with anybody on everything. Then you're just a yes man. You shouldn't agree on anything.
And that's why,
Like, everything with somebody.
and that's why I stopped calling myself a fan of people, because I'm not a fanatic about anybody. Like, I'm not sitting there fanned out. Like, I enjoy
I think supporter is a better word.
I enjoy the music. I'm not even a supporter. I enjoy the music and I'll consume it, and that's it. I'm not gonna be on Twitter and on Instagram tweeting about it, and you ain't gonna see me really supporting it in that way. Hey, go stream this.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, I've never been that type ever.
so I enjoy the music, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? I might do some reactions on my YouTube to get some views, but that's about it. Like,
I don't think I'm a step above you, but I'm not on levels of like a lot of Kanye fan pages actually follow me because I made a tweet about his mental health like a few months ago that went like, it didn't go viral, but got like 10,000 likes. So a lot of his fan pages follow me, and like their fan pages. So their whole timeline today was them, tweeting clips from the show, from the Drinks Champs podcast. It was them tweeting, oh, song, they know everything. They knew about the SoFi Stadium thing before Kanye even really mentioned it. Like, you can tell they're really fans, and I respect that. That's you, but that's crazy because that's never been me. Like, I've always was a big fan of like Nicki and Kanye, but I never was a fan on that level. Like, oh, new song dropped.
yeah. So
I mean, I do sometimes like, oh, down to drop. I'm about to go listen, but I'm not like promoting it. I'm just saying I'm gonna go listen.
So that's my opinion on the White Lives Matter shirt. It was stupid to do because of, not because of the point.
It's because the people.
It's because of the audience.
Yeah, and people aren't like, that's why like,
Nobody has any discernment.
Yeah, and like it's like I get suck to slavery was a choice comment. It's like I get why he says these things. I get the point that he's trying to make, but it's like it's just sucks because it doesn't really work because it's like that a lot of the people who take these things, they take sound bites and they're just very ignorant and dumb and want to be mad and want to find a reason to hate you. So they're just gonna take these sound bites and take these like, oh, he wore the White Lives Matter shirt. Oh, he said slavery was a choice. It's like they have like these sound bites. And it's like, dang, like your point gets lost because there's too much ignorance in the mix that is, have a voice. Not a lot of deep thinkers at all in this world, in our community, I feel like, unfortunately. Or at least deep thinkers that have a voice. So that's why it's kind of dangerous because it's like, I wish he would just like, I respect him as a human doing what he wants to do to get his point across. And his point is coming across to people like me. But I think people like us who think deep, we already got the point. So it's like, if you want your point to come across to like a lot of these like, no offense, but like, low level thinkers, unfortunately, I think he has to do this stuff on very elementary level.
Right.
Like you're talking to a baby.
Right. Now, did you have any other specific points that you want to bring up? Because that was the T-shirt, basically.
Sorry, I got like an itch in my throat, so you're gonna give me a second.
Yeah. So again, he was wrong for the shirt, but like, the sentiment makes sense. It's Black Lives Matter is a scam, right? Like, they said they bought a $6 million house for it to be a content house. I ain't seen no content come out of that house. Like,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Safe space for what? Like, you're gonna invite people to a $6 million mansion, and they're gonna still go back in their communities and get shot down. So it didn't prove anything.
It doesn't take away from the fact that like the whole point is that we're getting killed for being black, not for being from the hood.
Yeah.
Like you ever see that viral video of like that black police officer? Or I think she was a police officer, but I think she was like a judge. She was somebody highly like important, and like she was like a black woman. You ever see that video? And like the police pulled her over, and they said they ran her place, and she was like, "All right, you're gonna see." When they was all scared, like you see, if you want to use that as an example, like she was somebody on higher status, and she still wasn't safe.
She was the district attorney.
I think she was
the
district
DA.
And they didn't know, they was like trying to get her on something, and she was like, "All right." So it's like you see, like, so why are you making a house for people to be safe? Like they're like you're trying to make it safe for like the people in the hood.
No.
Meanwhile, people like a DA is still getting pulled over.
Now, where we're about to turn up is that White Lives Matter shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it gets a pass. And now we're going to go basically back and forth.
Wait, but let me see. I have a note here. And this, ignore that. That was for my dad's marathon. He wants to eat dinner. But I wrote, someone explained analogy of selling White Lives Matter but not caring for white lives. So just to bring up that somebody made a point on, I think, a Kanye space or on Twitter where they said that, like, do you think that, like, this is kind of like a good analogy, but do you think also it could have been like him making a point of like, look, like I'm wearing this shirt it says White Lives Matter on it, but you know,
Do you actually
do you
care?
actually care? And it's like the same way that like white people were wearing Black Lives Matters on them. They didn't actually.
Of course not. That was like
They
a
didn't, yeah, they were just like the same way people posted the black squares, right?
yeah.
And that's why I'm like, dang, how do people not even see it like that? Like the same way people were posting black squares. You know, they didn't really care about Black lives. It's like they're doing these like you know when they say like when
Performative.
yeah performative, or like you know when they say like for a lot of times black people we don't get like actual work, we get like symbols and like statues, symbolic victory. So you have people who posting on black squares and wearing the shirt, stamping it on their chest, putting it in their Instagram bio, but don't really care. And people saying that's what Kanye could have been making a point. Like, look, even though I put this on, I don't mean I actually care.
Yeah. Because again, you know, he put that on, but then all he did after that was rip apart the white community.
Yeah, and like he was gonna sell it for profit. Sorry, that just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna say, sorry, but he's like, yeah, he was gonna sell it for profit. The same way, like lots of, no, keep it on.
No, just keep going.
I'm not gonna this like, see, look what you just did. The same way, like you know, like white people will sell things for profit in the name of like they care about our lives, but they just really care about the money. So he was selling White Lives Matter shirts like he cared about their lives, but he really was selling it for money. So you know, I'm like, that's kind of a really good point. Like I wish he would have just said that. Like, yeah, white people walk around with Black Lives Matter shirts, and what was it? Those Democrats with Nancy Pelosi had like the freaking kente cloth things around their neck. That, oh my god, that's so freaking like crazy. It's like they do all those like symbolic stuff, but don't mean they actually care. And that would have been a good point to make too. As like, I don't know, like for me, I just get cringed with his extreme. Like he has a very extreme ways of giving, like you know, making a point. I'm like, dang, I just wish he would just explain it on a basic level, you know, for just people just to get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, what were you about to say?
No, do you have any other topics? Like,
Well, about the White Lives Matter shirt, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of, because it sounded like a lot of support on my end, and our end in terms of this whole debacle, but there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with as well. So it'll be kind of back and forth. So for example, the thing about Kanye where I disagree with is he desperately wants white approval, although there are instances just like this where he might act as if he does not. And one of those things is, you know, he has these extreme views against Democrats. And if you wanted to, without thinking too hard, if you wanted to, I maybe could make the argument that Democrats have been more detrimental to the black community than Republicans, even with their Republican racist views that have been trendy as of late. Because I don't feel like the Republicans have always been like that with the black community. I think the Republicans are more so focused on business and doing everything in their power to make money. And as a recourse of that, their policies and their opinions aren't in our favor because we don't make them money. And like the policies of like welfare and all of those sort of things where, you know, white people are still the biggest consumers of welfare, but you know, the black portion of that, it's not making them any money. So they're only focused basically on making money, and like their policies are focused on that, and they want to raise taxes because that makes more money for the government, then the government can buy more guns, go to more wars, all that kind of stuff. So that's like been the, I guess, primary thing against our community. In terms of the racist stuff, I feel like that's kind of just happened with Trump, in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong. And not because of Trump, but just that the make America great again kind of culture.
Yeah, he just opened up a can of worms.
Right.
Yeah.
So, where was I going with that?
He was just saying how like you disagree with like where you disagree with him because
where I disagree with him. So he has this anti-democratic view. And unfortunately, instead of taking pieces of democratic views and pieces of Republican views and not necessarily being in the middle, because you can still shade to either side, he went completely to the other side. Like he went from one extreme view of every black person vote for a Democrat to I hate Democrats and all lives matter.
Did he say all black people should vote for Democrats?
No, he never said that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying where he positions himself, right?
Yeah,
and,
like he's like an extreme.
Right. So now he's gone to the completely other side, but an extreme view. And my point with bringing this up is him going to sit down to do an interview or with Tucker Carlson on Fox, right? So it's like you disassociate yourself with one view because of its extremism or whatever you feel like it is, to go to a completely other side, and it's the same thing. It's just a different person.
Yeah.
You know, a different perspective. So I disagree with that, right? Like you can't be anti white people with the White Lives Matter shirt, and then at the same time position yourselves with them, going on their networks, a traditionally anti-African American viewed channel or network that somebody can argue. I'm not saying that.
But they have like a lot of you could tell they have a lot of like, what would you call it? Like
content that's not
like
really
underlying.
aligned.
Yeah.
With the person that has really like questionable views on things like the replacement theory and stuff like that. So it's like, in my opinion, Kanye, when it comes to designers, right, like his attack against people like Bernard Arnault, or like even when he was going after people like Hedy Slimane, and he's going to Anna Wintour and all these other people, is like at one part of it you're anti them, and then at the other part of it you want to be accepted by them, and it gets really confusing because it was, I want to be the head of Louis Vuitton, I want to be the head of Adidas, I want to be the head of all these white creations.
Yeah.
But then it's anti them at the same time, so it just gets confusing, right? Like, so don't, in my opinion, that's wrong. Like you can't try to. Yeah, go ahead.
I just feel like he's just bad with explaining himself. Like there's I feel like you could still have like, I think his issue is he doesn't know how to, like, he's just extreme with his views. So instead of just saying the things that he doesn't like and does like about certain people and things, he just goes extreme to make points. And I think that's what his issue is. Like you can't be like you said, you're beefing with Bernard Arnault, but then just now we heard him say like he looks up to him. It's like,
right. So it gets confusing, and then people can't take you.
You just slandered him, like.
And then people can't take you seriously.
Yeah.
But then he further explained it though.
But then he said he is jealous.
He's jealous of them.
And I mean, I could respect any person that can admit they're jealous, because people don't like to admit when they're jealous of people. I could respect that he always says when he's jealous.
Right.
He said he was jealous of Virgil. People would be like, "Oh, he's jealous." But I'm like, he said it. You can't shame somebody who could admit their human feelings.
Right. And I felt like that was always the black people that have been against Jewish people. Like, I know part of it is because they voluntarily monetize off of black people.
Yeah.
Tearing ourselves down, right?
Yeah.
Like they own the labels and put out the music in which we tear our own selves down. But that's one of those who do you fault kind of things. Like, do you fault us for making it, or do you fault them for promoting it kind of thing, right? So I do understand that.
And I get the whole being jealous of them, because it's like, dang, they're a group that was also torn down like we were
forever,
but they were able to spin
run
it over.
This whole shit.
And he's like, and we can't for some reason.
Yeah, right. So I understand.
And it doesn't make sense why we can't.
I understand the frustration, but for me, it's like,
and it's like, it's just annoying though, because people now trying to say that he's anti-Semitic when literally it's just him saying like he's it's like, I get it, like he just has an issue with the stuff that they allow and that they take advantage of, which I feel that's not anti-Semitic to call out people for taking advantage of another group.
Yeah,
just because they're Jewish.
For me, I don't think that it's anti anybody if you call out facts, right?
Yeah.
So we might we're in the black community. We might take it away if we find a white person that says, and I know it with nuance and context is completely different, because you can always make the argument that they put us here. Mm-hmm. So disregard that from what I'm about to say. But if a white person says anything about the black community, it's always, black person's always going to put their guard up on 100%.
Yeah.
Nothing that they say is going to have any validity.
Just for them saying the word black.
Right. Just for them saying the word black. And it's the same thing, right? You say the word Jewish and everything. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What are you about to say? Like,
right. Which I don't agree with, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that a white person shouldn't be able to speak on race just because that, even
they're scared of offending a group
like
of
that's
people.
stupid.
Yeah.
Like a Spanish person should be able to say, or Latin, I don't know what the word would be, but a Latin person should be able to say, to point out facts, right? Like if you're making stereotypes and pushing biases and things like that, that's dangerous. But if you're speaking to a fact, then that's not, to me, dangerous. If you're highlighting a fact,
anybody could be. If you, let's say like Catholics just happen to be in charge and not Jewish people, it's still the same facts he's making. It's just replace that with Catholic instead of Jewish. Like, it's not like he's coming at them because they're Jewish. It just happens to be that they're Jewish.
Right. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with pointing out a fact. Like if a white person was like, black people graduate 30%, like that's their graduation rate in high school.
That's not racist.
That's not
It's
racist
a
if you're
fact.
pointing out a fact.
Yeah.
So
And if you want to get deeper and say, okay, yeah, maybe some of it has to do because of the racism history of the country, like, two things could be true.
right, which is why I wanted to
You
disregard
can make
that
it, yeah.
in my point, because it's like, you know, they're still stating a fact.
Yeah.
We can always go deeper into the numbers why something is the way it is.
Yeah.
But somebody simply highlighting a fact is not wrong.
Yeah. But people be so quick to be like, well, you know why? Do you know why? It's like, well, yeah, I know why, but I just stated this.
Right. So him pointing out that part is not wrong. Like, it is true.
Yeah, and that's always like that's something I've always known. Like I don't know if you could try to make a claim that the reason why I know that maybe because it's in our community already to be that, but like
The Depression Olympics.
Yeah,
it's always been Jewish people versus black people. As
like
if
even
both
with 9/11, we talked about that. Like the guy Silverstein who owned the building and him, being a little shaky. Like how you take a insurance claim a few days before the buildings collapse. I don't know.
And the thing is that they always want to separate Jewish people and black people as if they can't be both, right? Because being Jewish is a religion.
It's a religion. It's not a race.
It's not a race. It's not a race of people.
That's why it's like how could like
a black person can be Muslim, just like they can be Catholic, just like they can be Jewish, just like they can be atheist, just like they could be anything. It's a religion. It's not a race of people.
And that's why like the statements come in how like black people were the original Jews.
Jewish
like,
people, yeah.
People say like that's what our religion was before.
Because we was all over it.
Yeah, we was like black people all over this world. Like we was probably every religion.
Yeah. So yeah, I disagree with doing things like the Tucker Carlson interview because you're, just kind of like disassociating yourself with white people, but everything you do is like aligning yourself. Like, don't show them 3D printed shoes.
Yeah, and get them the drinks.
And then diss them at the same time, because then it's like, well, whose side are you really on?
And like I could get going on the interviews because you're just desperate and frazzled to get your voice out there. But it's like you see how he like appeases to whoever he's around.
Right.
So like when he's on Tucker Carlson, I feel like his voice changed a little bit, right? Compared to when he was
on
Drink
Champs.
Champs. Like he's chilling. I mean, I get that you're chilling with your friends, whatever, and you're in Fox. You might feel like it's more professional, but it's like for me, he gave me like his little white voice on.
Yeah.
And like, oh, my 3D shoes.
Show him the water.
Yeah, like
show him the shoes.
So it's kind of and that's where like it just sucks because like I feel like I understand what he's trying to do and I get it, and I feel like I can understand that like frustration of being so far ahead thought wise, and then but just being frustrated how you can't get your points across, Yeah. And so it's like I get it, but it's like dang, like I just wish I just wish he was better at getting his point across.
Yeah.
What happened? My phone died?
No, I can't open it. I don't know what was opening, but yeah, that's like a short thing about the Tucker Carlson thing because I'm not really trying to get into like an hour about Kanye.
I mean, we missed this part too. Like I guess all the people that spoke out, like Tremaine, Gigi Hadid, Gabriella. But just to quickly say that, like, that's like another thing I guess you're trying to make a point too. Like you had like all these people who spoke out, like in the model, and I guess with the models and all the people speaking out, I think that was after he came for that lady that worked at Vogue, Gabriella, who just like was critiquing his work, and I guess like he posted a picture of her like with her boots and like kind of like bullying her, and I guess that is kind of wrong because like how your fan base is, but it is kind of crazy. You see other people that come out now to like defend this woman, but like they never defended Kanye for anything.
No.
Like at all. It's like you don't think anything that Kanye went through was wrong. No one said anything when Pete Davidson tattooed his kids on his neck. So I feel like all these things are just extreme points that he's trying to make. Like you guys have a whole lot to say now, but when Pete Davidson had my kids tattooed, no one said nothing.
You called him a heroin addict.
Yeah.
That John was mad for him.
But that is really crazy, right? Don't you think if you really outraged about something, you would be like, why does this man have this other man's kids tattooed on his neck? That's weird. Nobody calls out though, because they're scared of the Kardashians or something. It's just weird.
Now I'm not gonna do it here because we can do this Kanye thing for 17 hours, but I do have a thing like in his Drink Champs interview, he did break down a lot of like the media and business side of things where your average person wouldn't necessarily know, or they would be quick to say something's a conspiracy theory. And I just want to highlight it because I want to acknowledge it at least. So I do agree with his sentiments on the type of, the media and what they push, and people have an agenda, and we spoke about it earlier. But like, yeah, the media is powerful, and they have an agenda, and they have a point in doing these things. Like, there's no point in having a platform if you're not going to leverage it for your own purpose, and most of the time that's money. But in other parts is politics, and other parts is a group of people might want to put another group of people down. Like that's just part of the thing. So when you're seeing these advertisements or a specific clip gets clipped from a TV show, and all these media outlets, all 19 of them that you might see on your IG, puts out the same exact clip. Like, there is a reason for those things.
Yeah.
Like, there is.
Like, I feel like the Shade Room is money, obviously.
Right.
Because they make money from this stuff now, you know. And clout.
Right.
Money and clout. But then, you know, other stuff like CNN, they have a bigger purpose. Their stuff is usually political.
Yeah, and people are involved in these different things, right? Like, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, so whatever the Washington Post puts out is going to be in the best light of
him.
Jeff Bezos, right? I work, like, Bloomberg has Bloomberg News, so Bloomberg News is only going to put things that have the same sort of political views or alignments as Michael Bloomberg. So that's not like a hot take to think that the media pushes certain things, and, you know, everybody's pushing that Kanye said word all lives matter thing, but I haven't seen any of that same media push when it came to Black Lives Matter being a scam.
Yeah, which is like interesting. It's like,
right?
Why wasn't this more talked about? Because everybody's gonna have egg on their face.
Right, because everybody's gonna look
on the
stupid.
left side, yeah.
Right, and you know, that's what it is.
It's annoying, but so. I mean, something else that people said that they think that Kanye also could be really lonely right now, and he's just having like a break, like a mental break. Like, I feel like the thing is, all these things could be true, right? Like, he could be right in what he's doing, but at the same time, he could also be going through like some stuff where he's just really lonely and acting out and having like a mental breakdown. Multiple things can't be true, so it's like it's just hard to really pinpoint exactly what he's going through. But people do think like he's just, you know, it's kind of sad because like he just doesn't have anybody who's really telling him about himself. And I mean, I guess Nori was kind of good. Like, I feel like, I don't know, Nori kind of gives me skeptical vibes because, like, I feel like was pushing this stuff saying he's going to own the weekend and, like, you know, this weekend. He's going to, you know, I got more views in the game. So it's like, is your motive, you know, was your motive just to get views? Like, oh, we had the most views, more views than SNL. I think Kanye said that. Like, apparently there was more, there are other times he was on there, had more views than Kim on SNL. Like, I think Kanye said that, though, but. So it's like, dang, like, do you think Nori is actually in his camp? Like, trying to, you know, you think he's a good friend and actually trying to help him? Because sometimes, you know, I do think, yeah, he is lonely. He doesn't have really, like, any real people in his life anymore. He doesn't have a wife anymore. So it's like, dang, like, that's sad. But it's like, do you question if Nori is actually a true friend to him? Or do you feel like, I mean, I think he has Dave Chappelle, which is good too, but.
I'm not going to sit here and act like, because that's one thing people do that I hate. I'm not gonna sit here like I act like I know Kanye, like I know Nori based off of interviews or somebody that I've watched for 20 years through a screen. I'm not gonna act like I know this person, but my opinion, I think that you can't be rich and have friends. I think that when you're rich, the people that you talk to are people that you get money with or that is beneficial for you to be seen with them. So I'm not gonna say that Nori is not a real friend of Kanye because I don't know them. But I think that when you get to a certain level of money and status, the people that you interact with are there for business. For example, and not to point out anybody specifically, when you look at Kanye and good music, Kanye knew Pusha T, and Pusha T knows Kanye because of the music business. Kanye knows Big Sean because of the music business. Kanye knows Sci-Hi the Prince because of music business. Kanye knows Kid Cudi because of the music business. Never met, and you can be friends with people that you meet in business, but in general, all of these people are around you because of the music business.
Yeah.
And business and friends don't mix.
But I mean, I feel you can still create friendships.
That's what I just said,
Yeah.
But all of this at the root of it is business, and it's beneficial for Big Sean to be with Kanye because you're going to get more money that way, right? So to me, when money's involved, friendships go out the window, right? Like, we saw that with, like, the Joe Budden podcast breakup.
Yeah.
Like, they might have met each other.
And that sucks. They were friends kind of before.
Right. They met each other organically, but the second business gets involved, the whole thing blows up.
Yeah.
So for me, you can't mix the two. So I'm
and
not going to say
that whole lonely at the top sentiment comes from.
I'm not going to say that they're not real friends, but in my opinion, it behooves somebody that has contact with Kanye to be in contact with Kanye because it's going to make your life elevate.
Yeah.
So whenever that's the case, there's it's never going to be like quote unquote genuine in my opinion. It's always going to be motivated by money. So I don't know.
Yeah. So that's why it's like, yeah. Could it be different if Nori was talking? I mean, maybe he is talking to him behind the scenes and like they're both mutually benefiting. You could say that they're mutually benefited because
But
Nori is giving him a place to talk for, well, it was like 3+ hours, giving him a place just to freely talk where he's getting censored everywhere else.
mm-hmm.
And Nori's also benefiting because he's, making money.
And I'm not going to speak on Nori because this is going to sound like kind of, I don't want it to come across as disrespectful, but the type of things that Kanye's talking about, he couldn't even talk like, so I'm like putting myself out there. He couldn't talk to me about it and I would understand necessarily even a lot of that stuff. He's talking to people that have never been in these rooms or never seen the type of things that he's even speaking about. So sometimes it's kind of hard to like, being on a podcast or be on a show discussing these things with people that have no idea what you're talking about or know about the people that you're referencing.
Yeah.
So it could be genuine. I'm not going to say it's not, but at the same time, no matter what, money is involved, and that is, the point of most of the reasons why we do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, like, I don't know, it sucks. I mean, I think the only people that you could say maybe might be your genuine people in your camp are like, if you had a wife. But even then.
Why is she your wife?
Yeah.
Because you Kanye.
Because you wonder if Kim and Kanye would have even had kids if they weren't who they were.
And listen, that's applicable to any relationship. Like, the reason why your wife is with you is because of some sort of benefit. Like, it's not because...
Yeah, we talked about this before. I still don't believe that fully 100%.
That would...
No, but I mean, like, I feel it makes you sound like your wife is using you or your husband's using you. For saying that there's a benefit.
To a certain extent, they are, because... The reason why you would want to have kids with a woman is because she provides some sort of benefit for your kids or benefit for yourself. Whatever that benefit is, if she cooks for you and you find that to be beneficial, that's why you're marrying her.
But the main basis of why people should get married, 'cause that is why people get married. But the reason why I think you should get married is love. It should be your love for somebody. Like, you love them and, like, you really want to spend your life with them. And then you guys become a partner. Like, you be partners and still love each other, like business partners, whatever.
Okay.
Like, no, but babe, like, we're not married, and I've been living with you for over a year. What benefit am I getting if we're not married and we're living together? Like, there's no benefit neither of us are getting except for sharing bills. Like, the marriage thing, yeah, that's more of a tax.
Well, I would disagree because if you're not getting a benefit, then you wouldn't be in a relationship, no?
No, what's the benefit? I just love you.
But why?
Because I love you.
It's not for no reason.
Because
like,
your personality is
right. So
cool.
that's a benefit. You're taking it like.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm taking it too literally. Because there is a.
I'm not giving you $100 million, but there's still a benefit in being in a relationship.
What's the benefit? Companionship?
I don't know. You would have to speak that for yourself.
I'm asking you.
You would have to speak to.
I'm asking you. What do you think for yourself?
We're not bringing this into question about me. I'm just saying there's a benefit. There's a reason for everything. What benefit do
you get from dating me?
I don't know, but I probably wouldn't say it on the podcast.
So what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
No, I wouldn't ask you that here.
No.
But
yeah, but why can't you say it out loud? Bad.
No, it's just nobody's business. Like, seriously.
Whatever.
And that's not me not saying it on the thing because I don't feel like there's a benefit here because obviously I'm here doing this shit. Like, I don't want to be recording.
Whoa.
I don't want to be recording this. So
why are you recording it?
Because there's a benefit to it. No, seriously. Like,
okay,
no,
yeah.
but you don't need to. That's not a hot take. That's not saying anybody's wrong. Like,
but,
why would anybody do anything if there was
but if you're doing anything that you enjoy, what's the benefit? Enjoyment?
Yeah, two things can be true, but sometimes you also might not enjoy something and do it just because there's a benefit to it. I don't enjoy doing this. I don't enjoy talking to people. I don't think
you should say that while you're trying to gain a following, though. That's, for me, that seems like you're hustling backwards.
I don't think so. But we can have that discussion another time. But yeah, I don't know if they're friends or not, but yeah.
But yeah, all I have to say is that, I mean, I'm trying to find a silver lining in fame, but when it comes to friendships and having people in your corner.
There is no silver lining. It's just money.
I think it's possible that deep down you could still have. Why is my phone screen not?
I disagree.
Deep down you could have somebody that's like really in your camp. Like, I don't think it's crazy to think that every famous person doesn't have at least one person that really cares about them. Like, it could even be your own parents, obviously. I don't think it's crazy to think that you can have one person that truly cares about you and loves you and just there for you.
I don't, but I would put my money more on somebody not having anybody than somebody having somebody if you were rich. But that's just my opinion.
But people have friends before the fame.
Right, and what happens with those friends?
Well, yeah, they want something.
So.
But what about your parents? I mean, I know people's parents switch up too.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I would put more money on people that are rich because that's why they all be depressed.
Well, I would never want to be famous or rich then. That's sad.
That's what it is. People talk about it. I was just listening to a YouTuber talk about it. How
Yeah.
some lady in her town, he's not even rich like that, and he's rich. He has way more money than me. But he's talking about a lady tracked him down 3 times on separate occasions, asking. She don't even know him.
Asking for money.
No, he don't even know her name. Asking for money for the light bill, asking for money for all types of stuff.
It's crazy.
You don't know her. Asking money for to buy her kids clothes for back to school. So I don't know that life, but what I would believe is that at any point everybody's with you for a benefit, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's life. That's what makes sense. Why would you do something that doesn't help you? That sounds stupid. That's working backwards. You're with your wife because she provides some sort of benefit.
Yeah.
If you can't take care of your kids, that's not a benefit. So you probably shouldn't be with her. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to fame and riches, people only want to use you for the new lamb truck. They want to use you for superficial things. So
It's sad though. 'Cause I just feel like, I mean, like I said, I'm sure there's scenarios, but that's not the case. I'm sure. But
yeah, of course. Not everybody's parents is gonna switch up on you. Not everybody's friends are gonna switch up on you. But
some people really don't care that much about that stuff.
yeah, but if I had to put money on it, if I'm sitting next to my man that's worth $100 million and he didn't do anything to try to put me in a position to be better, now I'm gonna be in that position anyway. But I'm just saying I could understand how somebody would feel some type of way about that.
Yeah, because it's like, think about it. Like, realistically, like, you don't owe people in your life nothing. Like, just because you're my friend, like, you're my friend because you're my friend. Why is it now that if I got famous or got to some money, why do I now have to like share that with you?
Right. And the YouTuber I'm referencing, he was like, ain't nobody ever contacted me when I was broke. Yeah, I kicked out the army, all types of stuff. Anybody that watches any of the streamers knows what I'm talking about. But he's like, y'all ain't contact me. Y'all ain't checking on my well-being or any of these things. But now I got some money. And now people want to be like, oh, let me get on stream.
Yeah.
Let me help me with my YouTube. All right.
And I mean, I feel like if you had like a genuine friend though who was there for you since day one, I was always there for you with nothing to offer, I would be like, all right, here's some money.
Now that person in particular, that's what the case is. Like, he goes back to the hood because he's from the hood. He goes back to the hood, supports them. Everybody put all his mans on with their channels and making sure they can get money too.
And that's the thing. I think paying someone on is better than just giving somebody money. Because like, I realistically, how do I look sending you like a payment every month just because you're my friend?
Yeah. Let's get back.
I can never be famous.
Let's spin it back to
I'm
Kanye
successful.
thing.
But yeah, just to finish. I mean, we have 2 more things on Kanye just to finish it up. I mean, the main thing was, I guess we could talk about the Jewish comments and the banks banning him and Drink Champs. Because the only other thing I wrote down was Candace Owens, like, the kind of going back to the White Lives Matter, was saying that we give the corporations our money, but we're not canceling white-owned brands after they disrespect you. So we kind of talked about this in the car a few days ago, where we were saying, like, Gucci, for example, like, you could say they kind of disrespected us. People could say, but we talked about that also off camera. How we could say it could have just been tone deaf, or it could genuinely have been disrespectful. And what are people still wearing? Gucci. But they're mad about the White Lives Matter thing. But you're basically saying that White Lives Matter. You walk around with White Lives Matters on your back every day, by giving brands your money, your hard earned money. After they disrespect you, they don't even like you. They're racist. A lot of these brands are racist. They don't feel like they have a history of racism, but you still giving them your money. So basically, you're walking around with White Lives Matter on your back, like, hypothetically, not hypothetically, but like symbolically. Because their life must matter if you're feeding their families, right? Their life matters to you then. So I thought that was a good little hot take, right? I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Like, you had these brands that disrespect you, you had these people that disrespect you, you had these people that don't like you, and you're feeding their families. Still paying their money in their pocket for the sake of, I got that Gucci. Okay. Gucci had blackface, mask, and whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, that was kind of a little. You have anything with that? You agree? That's it. I wish I would have had that earlier, but I read it too late. That kind of goes back to the White Lives Matter thing.
Yeah, black people dick eat white people.
Yeah, like, and they walk around every single day with. That's what she was saying, with it on your back, like on your back invisibly, because like so many black people walk around with wanting that white approval.
And there's nothing,
whether it's direct or not.
Now, I'll say there's nothing wrong with, because that's like anti, like, we are the world kind of thing, which I don't agree with. But when it comes to people that have a very known position of being against you, and you still want to do anything to put money in their pockets, that's nuts. Yeah. Because you would never pay you'll instantly pay $600 for some Balenciaga Triple S sneakers, but you would never give $600 to anybody that look like you.
Yeah.
Never in your life.
Never.
Never. I guarantee you would never.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why, like, I've been supporting Martine Rose.
Yeah.
Because to me, Martine Rose is probably one of the better designers. Because you see, I've been wearing Martine Rose for years.
4 or 5 years at this point, yeah.
Before anybody, like, I don't even really see people wearing her, but those are specific reasons why.
Kanye just brought her up recently.
Right, exactly.
So he knows, like, that if you know, you know. Type.
If you know type shit. You never heard anybody in music be like.
Talking about Martine Rose.
Right. There was a specific reason why I support her. And that's the difference, right? I'll give $1,000 to some white European that I never heard of, in the same exact way that I would not hesitate to give $1,000 to a person that looks like me.
Yeah.
I don't personally care. Yeah. Everybody else cares. If it ain't Balenciaga, if it ain't Gucci, if it ain't
Louis
Vuitton.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, these black-owned brands be bugging. They want this much money for this. It's like, why not?
Throating.
Why can't you give them that? But you spending your whole check. You saved 4 months of your check to buy that bag.
That's funny.
Like, you sat there and saved 4 months.
4 months is funny.
No, but that's a reality for
no, for sure. I just saw somebody say,
thanks.
yo, we got a combined income of $1,000 a month in this household. I said, huh?
Yeah, I said that too.
I said, huh?
I'm like, I hope they were trolling. Please. Please be trolling. But that's real. People it's 6 months to have a check to get a $1,500 bag. Like, that's really people's reality. But then if a black-owned brand has something that costs, like, a lot of money, it's like, oh, black people be bugging. They try to scam. How they scamming? Like, it's expensive to if anything, these bigger brands are scamming because they have cheaper vendors. They're getting this stuff produced for cents. A black-owned brand is paying full price for a vendor, and they had to recoup that money, you know? I just bought that beanie from that girl today. It was like $90 a beanie. I'm going to give her my money, whatever. She might be upcharging a little bit, but she probably needs to make...
$90?
Her material is really good. So
you bought two?
Yeah, it's like $140.
See how quickly we changed?
So, but she's black, I think. Is she black? I don't even know if she's black, but she might be black. Her brand's in Philly. I mean, look, that's proving my point, though. I'm giving this girl who came up on TikTok my money because I feel like she deserves it. Her hats, I like the hats. I'm like, you see Montclair stealing her design, so, like, clearly she's making an impact. And I don't know if she's black, but she's somebody just a small brand who's becoming bigger. I'd rather give her my money than Montclair, you know. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, she got to make up that money. She might be upcharging, but let her upcharge.
100% is.
Yeah, but let her upcharge. Let her make her coin. Because she, half of that might be going towards the production.
That's all the shit is anyway. All the shit is upcharged.
Yeah, but half of it is probably going to production. Like, she has to pay for the hats, which are probably not super expensive, but she has to pay to print her designs. I mean, we'll see when we get the hats, like, what the quality is like, and you could judge more, but.
No, I'm not saying she overcharges. I'm saying everybody. Everybody overcharges for everything, right?
Most of her hats are actually 70 too. Like 90 was just the one color, right?
The $500 Saint Laurent shirt is not.
Yeah.
Like, they're upcharging like crazy.
It's really like 100.
No,
not even.
No, it's more like 10. Seriously, that's how they end up making. You wonder how Louis Vuitton makes $1 billion selling.
And for me, I don't
bags.
disagree with it. They earn that being that infamous, they earn that name to be able to sell that. Like, make your coin.
Right. Just keep it consistent between the different brands. But let's wrap this up because it's been a while.
Yeah, but we knew this was gonna be mostly Kanye.
No.
Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, our podcasts are usually 1 hour 45 minutes. The rest of these 3 topics is not gonna take 45 minutes, and they might. But yeah, the last thing I had was just the Jewish stuff. Like him, like that being like his. It seemed like his breaking point for being canceled because he'll never be canceled, but. That seemed like that was a huge thing. Like, we could just talk about like how the Jewish community, that's like a thing. I mean, we kind of dabbled into a little bit earlier, but like that's just like one of those categories where I feel like when you cross that territory, you're getting into some, hot waters with that. And like we've seen our own people in the past get canceled for stuff. Like he said Ice Cube and the Cannon, even Candace Owens, I think that she had to go in front of literally in the court. Because of comments, they tried to say that she liked Hitler or something when it was taken out of context. And I think she won the case. They tried to take a clip out of context when she never said she liked him. But I feel like, once you touch that territory of Jewish people, and like now you have people I literally blocked somebody today. You got people making memes saying like, oh, he might have died, showing Hitler, but he birthed, like others, and then showing Kanye. Like this is like very extreme and psychotic. Like, you people are psychotic. To try to compare him to Hitler?
Well, you can't say shit like I'm anti-Semitic because that's like.
But he's being facetious.
Yeah, but you can't be facetious about stuff like that, right? And now the thing
And
about
sucks. So that's like a soundbite now.
the thing,
I'm saying that.
yeah, the thing about the black community is that black people think that because we went through whatever we went through, that we have like a free pass to say whatever we want and have no like repercussions. Just because black people went through slavery doesn't mean that you can now say anything you want about Jewish people. Like saying you're doing anti-Semitic and you're going DEFCON on anybody. Like people have to cut that shit out. Like
even though he did admit that he spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
And that DEFCON 3 means that you're preparing for the defense. Like he's on the defense. He's
Yeah.
not saying he's on the offense about to attack them.
Yeah, and I get the whole reverse racism thing, but at the same time, you can't say whatever the fuck you want about everybody just because of slavery. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like sorry, you can't say
That can't be like the fall guy. Like oh, we were slaves.
Even in the Drink Champs interview, he's like, "Oh, I'm on my anti-Semitic vibe." Like
you can't say that.
You can't say that.
Even though, like we said, he was just being sarcastic, but it's like people are gonna take that and twist it. People are going to take that to heart.
Now I know we went through what we went through, but that would be the equivalent. Like imagine
someone
a black person.
Anti-black vibe,
yeah, I'm on my anti-black vibe right now, and like I know the whole reverse racism thing, but realistically, it's the same sentiment.
But do you agree on the fact that when a white person says that, like I'm on my anti-black vibe, it has more of a harsh thing because of the history? Like there's never been a history in the world, as far as I know, of blacks against Jewish people.
There hasn't, but there could be a black person that's aligned with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Kanye could still be aligned with the Hitler sentiment.
Yeah. That's true.
Just like there's never been a history of like black people against Native Americans, but if somebody came out because
because that just makes it sound stupid. Like so now you're saying that they can't say hateful things just because there's no history.
Right. That sounds crazy to me. So
yeah, I wish he didn't say that. I'm on my anti-Semitic vibe, right? I'm my anti-Semite vibe. Like I don't know why he said that. Honestly,
if anything, he should be on some anti-black shit. Like that's what he like. And what I mean by that is he's mad at Jewish people for
their power
and also their ability to monetize black people.
Are like plights, basically.
Right.
And like our destruction of our own community.
But ain't nobody putting a gun to anybody's head and saying, you rap about spending
like, okay,
the block.
it's wrong. Like they shouldn't be promoting it either. They shouldn't be all happy with their hands out ready to make money off that. But also black people don't have to make music about that. And we will still be popping. Like I don't think black people understand that power.
Michael Jackson's the largest and probably most influential artist of all time.
And he never said nothing about
spinning
nobody.
the block.
Yeah.
And I went to Michael Jackson's house, by the way, and poverty. Gary, Indiana is probably one of the worst places I've ever visited in the entire country. Mm-hmm. And for context, I've been to almost every state in the entire country. Gary, Indiana, in his house, ain't no way that him and all his family lived in that shed.
Yeah, it wasn't like 8 of them or something?
Like not even gonna exaggerate. The shed in my parents' backyard was probably bigger than their whole house.
That probably depressing.
Insane.
Growing up in a house like that.
People sleeping on a couch. You got triple bunk beds.
So he grew up in the epitome of the hood.
Right, and he ain't nothing about spinning no block, nothing about no robbing nobody. So you don't have
Beyonce.
You don't have to make the choice to rap about these things.
I mean, Rihanna's from the island, so I don't know if she really counts, but Beyonce.
They probably go through poverty.
Well, no, yeah, they do, and then she could still talk about it. But I mean, like we're talking about Black American culture and like what we go through.
And I'm not anti like rap, right? Because people rap about their environments and the scenarios they're in, and you can always make the argument that they're saying those things because of the position that they were put in, and I understand that completely.
Yeah, and people make music expressing themselves. If they become famous, that's not their fault.
Because the thing is, in the '90s, when people rapped about their scenarios, they rapped about trying to, the hardships they went through and then trying to get out of them. The difference between there and now is that people rap about it and they're promoting it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about it later, but drill music,
You're talking about Vaughn, like your whole. That's what people were saying that if Vaughn was still alive, they said he would have been rapping about killing a 15-year-old until he was like 80. I'm like, yeah, that's whack. Like, what's that guy? He killed Tuka. I don't know if he killed him, but he was like 15, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So people were saying like that's whack. Like you was gonna spend the rest of your career rapping about a dead 15-year-old who's not, who's long gone. Like it's like lame.
The only thing about that specific situation is that they were all the same age at the same time. But
but that's their people's point. Like, you might have been 80, like, and you're rapping about somebody who literally forever 15. Like, you sound lame now. Yeah, you guys were the same age at the time, but it's like, he's forever 15. He died at the age. So you're still talking about somebody who never even got to see the same age as you, who basically is still a 15-year-old while you would have been 80, Like theoretically, they would have been. They never aged to 80. So you're still talking about a kid who's somebody who, yeah, you were a kid when that happened, but you're still talking about as an adult. You're still talking about a kid that died. Like you sound lame. So yeah, it's like it's stupid. That's like the issue. Is like the people bragging about still like bodies that they caught like years ago. It's like, and I get the gang life and stuff, but it's like, but then like you said, then Kanye can't get mad at the Jewish people for taking advantage of that.
The money.
That's an internal issue. That's a black issue. We got to fix that community. And I guess that's still the point he's making. That black people as a community, we need to fix ourselves, or we'll never get to the point of like being like, Jewish people have each other's backs. And I think that's the thing he's really trying to say at the end of the day. Like, he respects it and he wishes that we had that, but he's also feeling like it's still up with whoever is trying to be a part of the destruction. You can still be an enabler and be a part of the destruction, because he says they're saying also behind the scenes things that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Like, they still have kind of a say. Like, labels still have a say on what you should and shouldn't do. They still have a say on what music to release, stuff like that.
They do, but their say is based on what sells, and what sells is that type of shit to our community. So it's still us at the end of the day. If people weren't buying the "I'm going to spin a block and shoot his face off," then the labels wouldn't push it. Because the same label that pushes the "I'm gonna shoot your face off" music is the same label that also promotes Bruno Mars. So they just promote whatever makes money.
Yeah.
They don't see like.
But they know, if they know that it makes money, they'll never try to promote it to not like, oh, you know what, maybe we shouldn't talk about this no more. Like, they would still not morally see. Like, that's what he's trying to say. Like, we're the morals, and you could say, yeah, this makes money, but we're the morals, and like maybe you shouldn't be talking about this anymore.
And not that like this is a pass for it, but there's never been morals in business.
There hasn't, but it's like, but then to Kanye's point, it's like you say something about them and the whole world collapses, even people who aren't Jewish. But then like you say something about us, and it's like further proves like they're making money off of our plight. But then you say something about them, and everybody has their back, even though they're the ones that are also are participating in not caring about Black lives. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, this all comes back to the people, him proving the point that nobody actually cares about Black lives.
Oh yeah, we of course we know that.
And I feel like he's just making an extended point about that. And by, one of those things was him bringing up another group and seeing how everybody react. When every day, nobody shows that they care about it, including the people in power that are profiting off of the detriment of our lives. So maybe this was one giant point that he's trying to make. He's just very frazzled. When he explains stuff, he's very like hype. It makes me like have anxiety. Like, I get like anxious off people who can't gather their thoughts, and you could tell he's good at it. Like, he'll end up circling back. Like, he'll go off on a tangent and it all comes back. Like, you see something that he never even forgets things he brings up. Like, he'll bring it back, but it be making me anxious. Like, I can't. People who communicate like that make my chest hurt.
Yeah. Anything else on this?
No, that was it. I mean, the Drink Champs interview was mad long. I say people should go see it. I mean, I did have the bank up there too. Like, that is crazy how he got canceled by a bank. But it's like it sucks. It's like you just sometimes like he even brought up first you get the money, the power, and respect. It's like you don't even got the power yet. You got the money, you didn't even get to the power or respect level yet at all. And it's like you can't say these things until you're in a position to say those things. Unfortunately, like you could say yes against freedom of speech, you could not agree with it, but you see the outcome of not waiting till you have like certain power to do that. Like now a bank is saying that you can't bank with them. Like, that's crazy.
It's got to be real power, though. And unfortunately, what Kanye's perception is that his idea of power is things like apparel. And that's his determinant as to...
Like the culture.
Yeah, right. Culture. Like having the black culture. But the black culture, it runs shit, but it doesn't. Because it makes things popular, but at the same time...
It's like just a component of people's money, but it's not the actual main thing.
Yeah, like TikTok, whether if black people, because I know black people like to say that, if they weren't doing dances, TikTok would disappear. Like, yeah, it wouldn't be what it is, but it would still exist. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they don't care. Like, there's no power in, if Kanye stopped making Yeezys, Nike's is going to be fine, Adidas is going to be fine. So it can't be done through apparel. You have to do with what other business people do and infiltrate everything. So the person that owns, like, let me try to think of an actual person that has some ability with this stuff, right? You take just at a surface level without thinking too hard, right? What I always give the Amazon example. Jeff Bezos was selling books on the internet, right? Then he started selling things like toys and everything else. And then it became an e-commerce website. And then it became, I'm going to make Amazon Prime lose a significant amount of our revenue and profits to get people their things quicker. And then he made AWS, and it's a web platform where people can host and do all of their logistics and everything else on it. And then let me go work with all these other businesses. So now AWS is responsible for Netflix of the world and UPS and FedEx and every other company that uses AWS's services. So now Jeff Bezos went from selling books to now being infiltrated into every Fortune 500 company that exists. And then now he makes, now Thursday Night Football is hosted on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Now Jeff Bezos went from selling books to selling AWS web hosting to being infiltrated in all these Fortune 500 companies to now being involved with the NFL. And now the NFL connections happen where now he's connected with all the NFL owners who will probably come from technology anyway. And that's real. That's where the real power is what your ability to flip whatever your circumstances are to every other line of business. And he hasn't done that. You can't.
And you see he did it slowly.
You don't get a deal with Adidas and you don't get a deal with Gap and then think that that's going to be your key to running these businesses, because that's not the case. Yeah. It needs to be bigger than that. You have to have a bigger vision than
I mean, he kind of admitted that, though. He said, like, his deal with Gap and Adidas, he felt like it was, like, theoretically, it was, like, hypothetically interning. Like, he was interning at them. So he kind of was using them in a way, like, to gain knowledge, but not necessarily planning for it to be a forever thing.
Right, but getting that knowledge doesn't also help if you don't play the game, too.
Yeah, he still should be playing the game. Like, at this point, he should still just be laying low. Like, I know you want to be outspoken, I get that. Like, I get that. But you got to understand there's people in place, and, like, you just got to play the game.
You know what the thing is? He can't be the martyr for black people and then also be the businessman at the same time, because they unfortunately don't intermix. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because people that are rich or wealthy, they don't see color in the sense that they see money. So being both at the same time is probably a tough position. You've never seen any of if you look at the top 100, if you look at the billionaires index, right? Everybody that's a billionaire, anybody in their free time, nobody's listening to this shit anyway, but anybody in their free time, if they went and looked at every billionaire that exists currently in the world, run that and then give me the numbers back on how many of them had a position politically or socially, publicly, what would be the word? Like publicly being against racism or anything like that. Yeah. I would guarantee you it's zero.
Yeah.
I would guarantee you it's zero.
I just think that's his issue too. He wants to be everything. You want to be the president. You want to be the Bernard Arnault. You want to be the black martyr, like you said. Like, and I put in my life on the line for all this. Like, you want to be the fashion designer. Like, you want to be the best guy in music. Like, it's like he wants to be everything.
And I hate to sound like you can't, because that you can't shit is what would keep us back from progressing. Yeah. But the acknowledgement of the reality is also important as well, right? Like, I'm not exaggerating. If you go down that whole line of billionaires, there's not a single one. Like, the greatest investor ever is Warren Buffett, and I can guarantee, like, I haven't heard a single thing publicly about disparaging, and this is not an attack against these people, but I haven't heard a single thing disparaging any of these institutions or like the system, right? All I see is Wells Fargo redlining black people, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, the two things don't mix, right? There's no billionaire with a political agenda that benefits black people. There's just not. Like, there's just not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like he should have just played the game, because now it's like a disaster kind of unfolding. Like the bank thing is really crazy to me, but it's like.
But at the same time, it's not. I can't run you not like it's not like the government. The government kind of has to be fair to everybody. I'm a business. I could do whatever I want. So if you're aligning yourself with what I perceive to be dangerous rhetoric, get out. Yeah. I don't have to have you as a customer.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he tried to make a point, though. He's like, if Chase will do this to me, if JP Morgan will do this to me, and imagine what they're doing to you guys. But I'm like, I don't know if that's really a fair comparison. Because it's like, yeah, that could be your point, but also it's like, they're only doing this to protect their brand. And they don't care about the average everyday person, like, making tweets. Like,
yeah, an average person can't even do business with JP Morgan, because you have to have money to do business with JP Morgan anyway. So it's not really applicable to us.
It's not Capital One.
Chase maybe, because JP Morgan owns Chase, but JP Morgan specifically, what did he say? He gave them $180 million or something like that.
Yeah, I think 140.
Yeah, we're not giving him that much money. So
I mean, and he don't seem too stressed on the Drink Champs thing. I mean, he was drinking the line, smoking a little bit, so he might be stressed and just not showing it or wants to admit it. You know, he don't want to admit that he's maybe messed up, but I'll be a little stressed out to have till the end of November to hit him on 40 somewhere. But I mean, I feel like we would have heard by now if other banks were denying him, so I'm sure maybe he found another place. But maybe we wouldn't know though, because the only reason we knew about this because I guess Kanye told Candace Owens, and Candace Owens then published the letter that Jake sent him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all. But Kanye, we'll see how this plays out going forward. But I ain't stressing. Like I'm as a Kanye fan, I'm chilling. It's whatever to me. I don't really care. All these Kanye fans are like freaking out. I'm like, just relax. Like you have go to work. Go to work.
Go to work. That's the funny shit.
You should be stressing about what you eating for lunch tomorrow on your break. Like it's not that. Like this is not stressing me. Like people are like, oh, I'm so stressed. Like why? Get a life. Get a life.
Get a personality outside of the internet.
Yeah.